the report. I'm saying if we could lay it before we invite members to comment, so that after the comment, then we come and take the report itself. Yes, leader. First Deputy Speaker, if you may lay the report.
Right Honourable Speaker, we can lay the 10th report.
10th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as Ministers of State.
Honourable members, the report has been duly laid. They are to be distributed to honourable members. So now,
thank you to comment on the statements made by my colleague. I'd like to commend the maker of the statement to research and elaborate on this year's theme, Right Honourable Speaker. Not too long ago, I chaired the program at Adjournment Hospital when a survivor of cervical cancer shared her ordeal. And I think that it is important for every woman to always go check up and then leave the important aspects out, such as cervical cancer and then breast cancer. Who shared her story said she sold her house to be able to be alive to tell her story and to receive treatment. We urge our health directorates, our hospitals in a lot, and also breast cancer, and women are.
Thank you very much. Frank, to add my voice to the statement ably made my colleague, the Honourable Member for Nsuta Kwama Biposo. We all agree that cancer is one of the killer diseases in the country and in the world at large. December 2024, 10% of deaths globally are accounted for by non-communicable disease, of which cancer is one of them. So if we look at it, it means that cancer is one of the killer diseases. But if we come to Ghana, National Health Insurance covers cervical cancer as well as breast cancers. But unfortunately, most men, there's no health care for that. I urge the House, therefore, Mr. Speaker, to cause to be included in the NHIS benefit package of the economy or the country will not die. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes, and we give the floor to colleague Crotty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on the statement made by our colleague. Mr. Speaker, it is true that cervical cancer is one of the most common in Ghana amongst women, and only 3.6% of women in Ghana aged 18 to 69 have ever been screened, and 4.3% of women 30 to 49, which is the highest and does not have a good prognosis. Contributions made by other members is just simply means of providing extra information is when the bleeding after sexual intercourse occur. And with regards to breast cancer, women should get to know their breasts very well, and their husbands or partners should do same. It's usually advisable for the hands to glide over the or bumps in the breast, and to check your armpits, because other important things to look on sticking out as usual, and this is important, like an orange peel. That all, yes. These are just a few points. Is not normal, and if you are not to look out for. So for the male MPs, please pay attention when you're with your wives and significant others, and the women, please get and see your doctors. Please make it a point to bring your doctor's attention to all of these. And once a year, when you see your doctor, do ask for a cervical screen, or as well, just have your...
Yes. Let me go to...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to ask my voice to the statement.
Please, members, speak up. Speak up.
Since creation, and the food declaration requires that each, and we all know the medication that we get to use may have to look at some issues and tackle them very well. First is to look at the public awareness and screening, and we are talking about how tends to get breast cancer, do get earlier. That means that expanding screening system cause cancer is very critical. Establish at least regional centers for treating cancer. We know that we have only one quaternary health treatment center in the country, and it would be good that if we can add 1 or 2 more quaternary centers. Budget has always been an issue as and prevention. In the first place, one treat it. But in case it does happen, which we know that the number of people that are going to be infected are going to have cancer is going to increase anyway. So it's good that we as a nation can increase our budgetary allocation towards cancer management and treatment. And also, I believe we have local medications or natural system that we can also use to manage or in research. Not only few centers within the country, but if we can have one regional research center that can help us support identifying so that we can bring the cost of management.
Yes, let me give Honorable...
Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement made by my able colleague. I also want to thank her for being here. I would urge us all to, in our various constituencies. Treating cancer is very expensive, and as we as legislators go about our duties, I think it is very important that we pay close attention to some of these issues, especially treatment of cancer resources, to ensure that we more or less go for public sensitization and education. So that prevention is critical, because in some of these things are religiously or spiritually orchestrated. And for that matter, instead of often by the time victims or people realize, it is late. And so curing the cancers become extra expensive. Speaker, to also allocate constituents, not just that, free medical care, so that a lot of people so sick early prevent you. To my colleague once again.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, and the statistics about 19 or was reported in 2020, and 10 million cancer-related deaths were reported in that year. And experts are saying that by 20 billion, it mirrors new cases each year, averagely, and 17,944 deaths annually. Country. In my 32 years of medical practice, is that people report to the fact that it is reported very, very late, and if you need any equipment to diagnose it, you immediately know that this is cancer. Like the breast cancer they are talking about, the cervical cancer they are talking about. And as I'm talking now, in my constituency, there are a lot of cases. Sometimes I found the National Health Insurance Speaker, we need to take certain bold steps. And one of them is that anybody who is well employed should, on a yearly basis, and a good way, that we can early, is 5,500, and that's about 88,000 Ghana cedis. How many Ghanaians can afford 88,000 Ghana cedis medical bill? We are doing our best. 4 childhood cancers have been, we probably will not be able to. We have the Mahama Care, that is one of them. So I hope that my Minister of Health, my good friend, Honorable Akando, will take this up that we use for non-communicable disease. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
And all the contributors, therefore invite you that paper. Who is reading?
Commemorative. There is a Kingsley Ajiman. Speaker, it stands in the name of Kingsley Ajiman. And because it's commemorative, Speaker, I want to make an application to you for you to accept it.
Yes.
So let's finish with the approval of the nominees. Then we can do the statement, because we have about 2 or 3 statements. We will do them after.
Mr. Speaker, we are not opposed. We would help you to do it. Let's finish this commemorative statement. The reports are not ready. No, it's not ready. I'm not ready yet. I will always tell you the truth. Then check the orders. The report will be in. So, Mr. Speaker, please admit.
Well, please, let's accommodate it. Dr. Kingsley Ajiman, the floor is yours. You may read the statement now.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The anniversary of the untimely passing of one of Ghana, affectionately called J.B. Danquah. Reflect as we see on his life and legacy.
Honorable members.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As we gather to reflect on his life and legacy, we honor a man whose contribution intellectual and cultural heritage. Mark this auspicious day with glowing tribute. Held a seat in this August House as Member of Parliament. J.B. Danquah plunged headlong into public. In 1930, he established West Africa, which he used as a platform to champion political reform and intellectual discourse until 1935. That same year, he co-founded the Gold Coast Youth Conference, serving as a strong advocate for constitutional reform. In 1934, as secretary of a delegation to enhance constitution for the Gold Coast. Between 1930 and 1936, J.B. Danquah conducted extensive research on the history and tradition of the Gold Coast people. It was during this period that he traced the connection between the ancient Sudanese Empire of Ghana and the Gold Coast, provided March 1957. Mr. Speaker, tragically on 4 February 1965, Dr. Danquah passed away, a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who sought freedom, justice, and national dignity. His political philosophy called for a higher standard of political maturity, in which the opposition is seen not as the enemy, but as a vital contributor to the national discourse. The dialogue to one of respect, reason. We find rich lessons for today. The early and gracious concession made by Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, former Vice President of the Republic, following the defeat of the New Patriotic Party, and the subsequent acknowledgement of this sportsmanship by President John Mahama in his inaugural speech, offer a powerful example for the democratic maturity Dr. Danquah championed. This remarkable act of snare or partisan interest. It challenges political leaders across the spectrum to rise above the divisiveness and view each other not as adversaries, but as indispensable partners in the shared mission of building a stronger, more united Ghana. Honorable Speaker, the pantheon of Ghana's founding fathers, Dr. Danquah holds an were pivotal in the shaping of modern Ghana, set of our independence movement. His contributions to the political and philosophical foundation of the nation remain fundamental to the Ghana we know today. His selfless service, rising to the challenge of Danquah's influence, extended far beyond his governance, political economy, and social progress, has had a lasting impact on the political thought of successive generations. Three of his foremost profound statements come to mind, each a window into his worldview, his philosophy, and his steadfast devotion to the ideals of freedom, humanity, and collective progress. In the foreword to his seminal work, The Account Doctrine of God, he who is Samaritan, unquote. This statement, the measure of a just society, was its ability to inspire goodness in individuals, creating a ripple effect of mutual respect and moral elevation. It was not enough to merely coexist. Our collective actions as neighbors must uplift one another in profound and meaningful ways. He further illuminated these ideals in another compelling assertion, and I quote, "It is much better to sacrifice the shared good, for it is the highest good, the summum bonum, the richest end for each man and all men," unquote. In Dr. Danquah's view, true fulfillment could only be found in service to society, a timeless principle that resonates today as a moral conflict on the historic moment I saw upon in before the assembly of chiefs could only move the crowd to tears, but also brought with us from ancient Ghana. The safety of that freedom is since the bond of 1844, and the time for a decision has come, unquote. Even at a time when the land was known as Gold Coast, Dr. Danquah's foresight transcended the immediate struggles of his era. He invoked the name Ghana, linking the aspirations of independence to endurance and self. Merely a thinker beyond his time, he was a global visionary whose words continue to challenge us to aspire to greatness, to build a nation rooted in justice, and to embrace the highest ideals of humanity. His ability to draw from history, philosophy, and human compassion sets him apart as a towering figure in the pantheon of our national heroes. Mr. Speaker, in closing, despite the constraint of time, it is impossible to overlook the powerful tributes and reflections on the life of Dr. Danquah. While we could list the countless individuals who have spoken of his profound legacy, I am compelled to highlight just a few who have eloquently captured the essence of his contribution to our nation. Professor Michael Quay, referencing the Hansard of the Legislative Assembly from the early 1950s, reminded us of Dr. Danquah's visionary leadership in pushing for the creation of a national committee to supervise Ghana's energy future. Dr. Danquah's foresight in pushing for what would eventually become the Volta River Authority was a proof of his commitment to ensuring the country's development, even as Ghana now grapples with the power crisis he had sought to prevent. President John Ajay Kufuor stressed the need for all Ghanaians, not only those in the New Patriotic Party, to honor Dr. Danquah for his foundational role in shaping the country. He irrefutably played a titanic role in the making of our nation that we are all part of today, unquote. These are but a few of the countless voices history politics, and intellectual life continues to inspire us as we honor his memory today. In conclusion, the boundaries of time and political affiliation, a firm foresight, and that is not only free, but one that is founded upon the principles of democracy, respect for the rule of law, and the common good. As we honor his memory today, let us renew our collective pledge to uphold the values for which he stood, values that are relevant today as they were in his time. Mr. Speaker, I extend my deepest gratitude to you and to this esteemed house for son of Ghana. I thank you for the space given me today. Thank you.
Honourable members. Yes.
Right, Honourable Speaker. Presented, Mr. Speaker, by the Honourable Member for Abuakwa South constituency, Mr. Speaker, on the occasion of Chichi Bwachi Danquah. Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker, what is happening here in this chamber, Mr. Speaker, this Parliament, and what transpires here in this Parliament is exactly what Dr. Danquah stood for, what Dr. Danquah fought for. At the birth of our country, there was two clear schools of thought, two distinguishable schools of thought. And Mr. Speaker, I will refer this House to the statements, the profound prophetic August 1947 Asolpo, where Dr. Danquah, Mr. Speaker, made the point that Ghana should be governed on the basis of multi-party democracy, a democracy which is anchored on the rule of law, a democracy which will have a parliament such as ours, a democracy which will have different shades of opinions as we have today. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Danquah saw that as far back as 1947. And we are never to forget the important voices at the time at some stage in the evolution of our nationhood, particularly at the infant stages of our nationhood. Mr. Speaker, there was no parliament like this. Yes, there was a parliament, but there was a parliament occupied by only one shade of opinion. Today's Ghana, Mr. Speaker, today's Ghana, the ingredients of today's Ghana, the characteristics of today's Ghana was the Ghana Dr. Danquah prophetically advocated for even before our independence. And Mr. Speaker, it doesn't matter where you belong on the political divide, you cannot contest the fact democratic state as we have it today. Rule of law, freedom of speech, multi-party democracy, equality before the law, bedrock of today's democracy. The farmer in my constituency, property as he or she or she is what Dr. Danquah stood for. Our friends from the NDC side, the Social Democrats, are now owners of mansions and. Mr. Speaker, that is what Dr. Danquah stood for. Mr. Speaker, that is what Dr. Danquah stood for. Today, those that belong to their wives, cantonments, properties in Labone, properties in Airport Hills, properties all over the place. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying they did not subscribe to do. What Dr. Danquah did not subscribe to do is that building a liberal economy. Those who are underprivileged, and that is where the state comes in. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the maker of this statement that Dr. Danquah continues to be a colossus in Ghanaian political history and is indeed the doyen of Ghana politics. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
You just came in and you want to contribute. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to appreciate our historical antecedent as a state. And when Mr. Speaker, you must not make a statement that should generate debate.
Mr. Contributor.
So when you make a statement
Mr. Contributor.
attributing... I'm a member of parliament.
Honourable members. Honourable members. Honourable members. I am not going to say anything. He is going to speak, only to warn him that he is a nominee. I'll come to you.
My statement is just simple. Yes, it is good to eulogize J.B. Danquah. It is good to espouse some of the good things he did. And I won't stand here and state. In fact, marry them.
He was a traitor.
He was a CIA agent.
Sit down.
Before.
Put on your microphone when somebody is speaking. No, Minister, Minister, no. Please, we have a lot of work to do. Minister, no.
Mr. Speaker, I think that my very good friend, Honorable Jabu, was speaking. He said many things that people here disagreed. I got that, Mr. Speaker, you never gave me the opportunity.
Yes.
Nobody here put on the line. Mr. Speaker, it is on and becoming an attitude. Mr. Speaker, and we are taking notice. We are taking notice. I urge them, you are going to listen to him. Listen to you. We are taking notice.
This is a house of intellectuals of the people of this country. I am quoting Martin Meredith's book of the State of Africa. He described J.B. Danquah as one of CIA agents who was paid to betray his country. I have a copy of that book. He played into him. And Mr. Speaker, he also said that J.B. Danquah died a horrible death. And the Buzia. As a matter of fact, the NLC, Danquah died.
Honourable member, conclude.
He died in next
Honourable member, conclude.
Speaker.
Honourable member.
Who took
Honourable member.
the motion in it?
Honourable member. Honourable member. Honourable members. Honourable members, take your... Children of Madras. Honourable members, take your seat. No, I'm not taking any more. No. Honourable members, I'm not continuing with the comment. Honourable members, Tala. Honourable Tala. If you didn't listen to me, I'll walk you out, please. So listen to me, please. No. I'm not taking any more contributions on this topic.
Soviet fight.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let me now come to leadership. will make up the 2-2. Yes, minority leader, you can decide to yield it to anybody. That is, but minority leader. Leader, let's hear you.
Mr. Speaker, under normal circle generates debate. That these are national heroes. Some are on our side, some are on their side. So let us be mindful how we react when it's our turn. Obviously, former President Nkrumah and all. Let us, Mr. Speaker, let us focus.
Doctor of Medra, sit down.
It's me.
That's evidence for Sani Papa Kulipa.
Mr. Speaker,
honorable members. Honorable members, please let's give him hearing. I'm not taking it.
Obviously, the contributions made by these national heroes, rather than using it as an opportunity to debate. I recall that in the 8th Parliament, I remember that there was such an occasion and I was directed. I don't have a problem admitting where I'm wrong. I can't be perfect. I remember that my respected colleague, Dr. Zenator Ajiman Rollins, very well, it's good to be corrected. That's okay. Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins. I got it right this time. Say that she's been ignored by the Mahama administration, but I won't say that. But I'm not going to say that. Mr. Speaker, on that occasion, I was reminded by the chair that days like that is not, are not meant for looking at criticisms and all. So let's focus on the person's contribution to national development. So I just want to remind colleagues as such on this. If we want to waste time on adverse, as I sit here, I'm sure many people are writing all manner of articles. But there are good sides of me and there are good sides of colleagues that would have to be discussed. And I believe that is what the honorable member said. Mr. Speaker, Dr. J.B. Danquah, the records have it that he was more than a politician, a philosopher, and one of Ghana's foremost nationalists. Mr. Speaker, it has to be emphasized of the UGCC, which advocacy and intellectual rigor helped shape the political consciousness that led to Ghana's independence. Nothing can be taken away from him. Speaker,
Honorable leader, hold on. Who said that here?
Mr. Speaker, I know who said it. That is Honorable Asedun Katia's son. Dr. J.B. Danquah had an enduring contribution into the history of our country. He is credited with proposing the name Ghana for our nation, linking us to the proud heritage Ghana built on democratic principles. These have been emphasized by the earlier speakers, including my respected colleague, governance till today. Let me quote a profound statement which resonates with many. Democracy demands of men means the observance of laws that uphold freedoms to be fought for. Mr. Speaker, indeed, freedom is a right, far right, and we know what Martin contribution to the black liberation and redemption and that opportunity for all that his values created for America. Believe in democracy, independent president in the 1960 by contesting Dr. Nkrumah, the Speaker, just for emphasis. It was Nkrumah to Ghana. Although he was introduced, we cannot have one has an idea for a country's governance. It doesn't take a day for same to come into fruition. With those values that he espoused, Mr. Speaker, it took time. He himself did not live to celebrate these, to see. But over time, after the first coup, we went into a second republic, another coup went to a third republic, another coup for. It's instructive that those who were involved in the PNDC regime were the very people who gave birth to the Fourth Republic. Meaning that forces of democracy worked around the clock to ensure Danquah. Mr. Speaker, scholar whose research, however, unfortunately, political disagreement among politicians, when a time came for me to construct a roundabout in Efutu, I read a bit of the history and I even discovered that for many years, J.B. Danquah was the Efutu State's lawyer. He was had actually Kwame Nkrumah. Mr. Speaker, all those misunderstandings, the Kwame Nkrumah, J.B. Danquah, after J.B. Danquah remained of inquiry to look into the matter, lawyer for the Efutu State, and went through the then was that enactment to say that the chiefs. I am saying that looking at this history, by the grace of God, I was able to set up this one that it's J.B. Danquah and Kwame. The import of this was to friends. These were two die a painful death in Nsawam prisons. So symbolically, Efutu took up. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, the noise is coming from those who are still waiting for their appointment. Those who have been nominated are gently listening, and those behind who are yet to be considered are making noise. They don't want to learn. And they are backbenchers and newcomers. They are supposed to learn. This is history. Mr. Speaker, JB and Nkrumah, to symbolize true reconciliation, that no matter the disagreement with your political opponent, don't wish death for him. And that is a true symbol of multi-party democracy. And what we did this democracy represent, fine, extreme. Let us manage J.B. Danquah. J.B. Danquah has bequeathed to this nation true values that we shall forever cherish. Let us continue his memory through our conduct. Even if we have different political ideologies, we should remember him for the great works he did for our nation. This man preached press freedom and personal liberties. He set up newspapers. He was writing. He exposed the country to all these values that today we are celebrating, and we are doing this annual. Kingsley Ajiman has taken over. It's time for him to also make his name. In this, he has demonstrated his determination to take up a key role in this house. Mr. Speaker, without more to have his bite, however superfluous it may be. Mr. Speaker, this is a very respected through the rudiments of politics to assume he must have a bite because we are
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
But leader, I think you also be very brief. He understands why I'm saying that. So don't.
I think the first time I encountered J.B. Danquah was as a student of history at the O level, the ordinary level. And I also read history at advanced level. And throughout my readings of the history of Ghana, the foremost in the beginning, it was the UGCC that started the struggle as a political party, led the struggle for independence. So, Speaker, I also read that along Nkrumah, UGCC, of Kwame Nkrumah, which led to Kwame Nkrumah parting company with J.B. Danquah and his team. And he had a more radical approach, parted company and formed his Convention People's Party. The leaders of the UGCC became opposed to the timing of independence, And since time is everything, many have read into it that they were opposed to independence. And that has been a matter of contention. And I think it is one of the issues that is causing some disagreement in this chamber. So, again, I encountered J.B. Danquah because one of the famous constitutional law cases that you must read about, the decision in Ray Akoto, I encountered J.B. Danquah, the fighter for independence, now the human rights activist, a fighter for the rule of law, a fighter for human rights. And the facts, basically, Parliament to pass the Preventive Detention Act, which enabled them to arrest and detain people under certain circumstances. Bafo Akoto ends the act, and they applied for bail, and the High Court refused, and then they appealed to the Supreme Court, and J.B. Danquah was their lawyer. J.B. Danquah argued that arbitrarily arrested, and the court ruled that the Parliament at that time was not in any way inhibited, and they could pass a legislation like that, even if during peace times. Because Ray Akoto had argued that in the jurisdictions where you had similar legislation, it was legislation power which was enjoying peace could not be cited as a country that provided an environment that necessitated a legislation like that. So there I encountered J.B. Danquah as the jurist, as a fighter for individual liberty and freedom. Preventive Detention Act. Conspiracy to undermine. He was in detention, I think, from somewhere in 1964, and ultimately died in detention in 1995. And of course, his death sparked some furore across the country, and subsequently a commission of inquiry was set up to try and explain the circumstances surrounding his death. Let's get to the more controversial issues about the CIA. He betrayed his country. I've claimed that J.B. Danquah received funding from the CIA. That he received some financing from the CIA. And indeed, it is claimed that in the 2010 declaration received financing from the CIA. Others have speculated that it was the United States was working against
the Nkrumah regime because Nkrumah was considered financed JB Danquah for those reasons. But this is a matter that is not settled. So it is a subject of some, claims that have been made to remember, to recognize that they did. I believe of this about the contribution of such great heroes as Jerry John Rawlings. And Mr. Speaker, I will not be surprised if a statement on His Excellency President Akufo-Addo to recognize the efforts of those who came before him and Nkrumah, but you cannot write. I then read Chanti or Akan customary law. He wrote the sociology of Akan communities and etc. And that has become a major resource for those who are studying Akan customary law and also the society and the history and the traditions of the Akan. Mr. Speaker, let me save time for the conduct of government business by ending my contribution here. Thank you very much.
Of the statement, and it is now time for government business. So please come with me to page 3. Page 3, item listed 13, Chairman of the Appointment Committee.
Right on of today's order paper. On His Excellency, the President's nomination for appointment as ministers of state. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I present your committee's report. It's on Ministry of Labor, Jobs, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. Honorable Samuel Nate George as Minister Designate, Ministry of Communication, as Minister Designate, Ministry of Minister Designate, Ministry of Transport. Report, Mr. Speaker, read as I capture the conclusion of the report in paragraph 9.0 of this report. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Article 878(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana and standing under thorough deliberations, the committee finds the nominees competent, knowledgeable, and well-suited for the respective ministerial roles. The committee therefore recommends to the House by consensus the adoption of its report and the approval of the nominations of Honorable Abdul Rashid Hassan Pelpo as Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment, Honorable Ibrahim Muntala Mohammed as Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Honorable Kofi Idi Adams as Minister, Nikwe as Minister for Transport. The committee, however, recommends to the House to approve the nomination of honorable innovations by a majority decision. Mr. Speaker,
Honourable members, the motion has been moved. The motion has been moved. Yes, Honourable Minority Leader and ranking of the Appointment Committee. And ranking of the Appointment Committee.
Mr. Speaker, first, let me thank the Honourable Chair, for his industry, managing the affairs of the committee thus far. Indeed, we work together on the committee's report. We fully agree to the entire content of the report. The conclusions thereto. Mr. Speaker, for all the other nominees that we agreed
we did so
in utmost good faith and in the national interest. I therefore have no hesitation at all in seconding his motion for
Hassan
Idi Adams
Honorable Kofi
and Honorable Joseph Bukari.
Mr. Speaker,
all these four, we believe that they qualify under Article 71 of the 1992 Constitution. Article 78(1) of the 1992 Constitution. And the Standing Order 217 of this House. Mr. Speaker, then on Mr. Nate George, we also believe that he qualifies under Article 78(1) state.
Public office as a minister.
However,
that the minority
felt that made it impossible
support
hence
nomination.
The decision to go by majority on his nomination. In other words,
on his nomination on their own.
Mr. Speaker, one of our opposition to his nomination.
The basis
of our opposition
on page
31
to
5.10 starts
paragraph 5.10
from page 30
starts
to page 31. Mr. Speaker,
page 31. Mr. Speaker,
we have no objection to his opinion in the public space. After all of us have an opinion with the language, the Honorable Chief Justice of the Republic. We believe that his criticism, as he describes it, as constructive, he himself is in public. If you go to
the 3,
he the nominee himself, first on paragraph 5.29 on the same page 42. This is what the report says. The nominee when asked if he will retract and apologize for his post on social media, stated that he stands by those posts. Mr. Speaker, we believe that only few people in this country get the opportunity to become president of this nation. In governance, a president encounters a lot of challenges. Some he may not even know. For the nominee to benefit from the galamsey in spite of in that language use, he could criticize Dr. Nana Akufo-Addo for not successfully helped the country. He could not say that the man benefited. Mr. Speaker, the Oxford Dictionary has a definition for a person benefiting. When you say somebody has benefited, what it means is that he has felt that he himself, Ministry of Office, key international stakeholders, people from all manner of places would walk to him in his. Is he going to accept people to criticize him using unprintable words? These we felt. I retract those words against that. It was way below belt. And that is our first reason for opposing him. Now to paragraph 5.30. You can find it. Document to support claims. He had made travel documents, Airbnb receipts, accommodation receipts. The nominee, however, has not been able to produce documents relating to the business of his spouse as well as his source of secondary income. The nominee has also Mr. Speaker, these are the vetting. These were issues that came out The nominee
that came out
had assured that he was going to provide us evidence of these documents as the report duly signed as the report to get to us.
are yet
Mr. Speaker,
to get to us, because this is the same
who has been holding other public officers to high standards. And if you are demanding from other public officers accountability, then the rule is clear. He who comes to equity must do equity, and he who comes to equity must also come with clean hands. Mr. Speaker, simply
on the basis of therefore
express this nominee, and we do so on this matter, and our members would take turns to make their comment on this matter, and then at the point of voting.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Honourable members, please. The motion has been moved.
The motion
has been seconded. And the motion is now the property of the House.
The motion is now the property of the House
for consideration.
The House.
Is it 5-5? I've been given the list.
Is it 5-5? I've been given the list, but
start with Honourable Minister for Education.
Honourable Minister for
But
Education.
please, let's manage the time within 5 minutes.
Let's manage the time within 5 minutes.
Within 5 minutes.
For the opportunity,
thank you for
to
the adoption
of His Excellency President
Mr. Speaker,
to take opportunity to implore the leadership of the House, in particular the majority, the man in charge of the appointments committee, at all times, he needs your support. And I think it's important that we recognize that it's not for nothing the Speaker is responsible for matters relating to appointments. The Speaker, the second is, what does the appointments committee, elected members of party constitution? And Mr. Speaker, again, it's not for nothing that the Constitution says that to qualify to be a minister of state, you must qualify to be elected as member of parliament. And therefore, if you are an elected guy, this practice have endeared Ghana to many democracies. The public accountability of persons desiring or appointed by the president to lead in various sectors of the economy, who must have utmost public trust and public integrity. Mr. Speaker, in the course of the vetting and appoint more ministers, Mr. Speaker, may I with respect refer you to. You made a comment. Mr. Speaker, let me remind him that what President Mahama is doing in resetting Ghana's will guide future presidents of the Republic. And it is not a benchmark for purpose of just the 9th Parliament. No. Mr. Speaker, may I refer you to the Constitution in Article 1976. It reads, emphasize this word, not less than is properly constituted with just 21 the president plus vice president and 19 other ministers. What he expects is that in future, never again should the president want to move this country and want to appoint as many ministers as 180, 90, and want to. Mr. Speaker, that is a governor's legacy. If he does, as he is taking full advantage of the extraordinary mandate he has, subjecting this country to a constitution that this is what we want as a country, learning from the John Dramani Mahama experience and capping the number of ministers never to exceed 60. So those of you who think President Mahama will walk back on his pledge, he will be disappointed. He will honor that. save the public purse as he has promised. What is the essence of a lean size of government or a small size of government? To make some savings for the republic. That he will do. Mr. Speaker, now let me come to a few of the nominees, and I start by referring you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in those days, I was then National Youth Organizer of the NDC. I believe the years 2002 to 2005 that I had gone to Takoradi to do an NDC youth program. And on my return at Adisadar College, he was then a teacher and deputy constituency organizer. As I sat through the program, before I left, I was convinced that he was a worthy political material. And then I invited him subsequently when we visited and co at party headquarters. Mr. Speaker, he's a quiet deliverer. He has ownership of his strategies. He speaks less. I believe that he would make President Mahama proud at the Ministry of Sports. But there's more work to do. More work to do. We expect that the University of Education will dedicate that stadium to support that. Our football, Mr. Speaker, is not in the best of shapes. Look at the events at Nswatriman and Ashanti Kotoko. Officiating is at its poorest, and our Premier League is not watched. But Mr. Speaker, football today is a major cash gainer if you invest and invest properly in it. Then, Mr. Speaker, I have seen, and may I refer you to page 15, Mr. Speaker, again, a matter of public debate. Maybe this is the opportunity to enrich the constitutional review process. Are we to decide 65 medical doctors at 60-65, mindful that there are other young people who have aspirations? But Mr. Speaker, can we, and maybe it will inform the work of the Constitutional Review Committee. Then, Mr. Speaker, I come to the Honorable Sam George, opportunities for more Ghanaian participation in that particular area. And then, Mr. Speaker, to my neighbor, the Honorable Mohammed Mutala, going to the Ministry of Environment at the time that President Trump of the United States, a major contributor to the whips, the guidance. You are not just whips for your political party, discipline is yours. Mr. Speaker, you visited the House of Commons. Even the whip, the original whip, is still in the office of the whip of the House of Commons. So the whips, you should be the last. So well, there are times, Mr. Speaker, sitting afar, you just can't take and swallow what he's compelled to swallow. We've been there before. Faith and respect for our democracy. So, Mr. Speaker, and then my good friend Honorable Dike, I'm sure you too, I can share a story. Now Northern Regional Minister Adolf one day walked to me when Moses Mabinga was exiting from Parliament offices in Tamale, so that I'll know who Bukari Nikwe is. Mr. Speaker, a calm gentleman of a personality, very tolerant person, and I'm sure he will, in performing as Minister for Transport, be reminded that Tamale Airport will need a second. There are some promises there. So, Bukari Nikwe, Mr. Speaker, as a government, he knows that. He knows that. So, Mr. Speaker, Bukari Nikwe, at the Ministry of Transport, elected member of Saboba, when I wish you well, Honorable.
Yes. Let me now give the Let me now give the floor to Honorable
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to make some few remarks.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to make some few remarks on the remarks by the Minister for Education in celebration of what I'll call the new threshold of 60 ministers.
To the extent that
I think as commendable as it is that if the result of the election had been different, we'll be celebrating 50 ministers and not 60. The new threshold will be celebrating 50 under an MP. It's also important necessarily means the same salary that the Minister of Information was drawing is the same salary that he's going to be drawing. All the civil servants who were working at the Information Ministry will continue to draw their salaries. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources, the fact that you no longer see a water resources ministry as separate does not mean that any civil servant who worked there has been fired. They will continue to draw their salaries. In fact, all the budgets for projects under water resources have only now been consolidated with water resources, works and housing. So, Mr. Speaker, accurate, and I think that it's something that we should also address our minds to. Mr. Speaker, very quickly, I want to make a few remarks on some of the specific portfolios of this House. We congratulate his attention to him to liaise with his colleagues. It create the enabling environment for the private sector to create the jobs. I say so because already the Minister for Finance, our very good brother, so who's just left the chamber, is announcing that he's going to create jobs. And the lesson that we have learned, which we'll share with them, is that it will be better attention is paid to assisting the economic sector ministers so that they create the environment that allows the private sector to create jobs. Mr. Speaker, additionally, one thing that over the years as a republic, in the US, for example, they have the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. That, the reports, I think, on a monthly basis. Captures the data and publishes the reports, I think, on a monthly basis. In the Kufu administration, we tried a job registration exercise, didn't succeed much. In the Mills administration, I recall my brother Blakwa, the minister, was struggling to reconcile. In the Akufo-Addo administration, we resorted to SNIT data of about 2.6 million jobs. It was a matter of public debate. Speaker, I'm raising this because it's a lesson that as a republic we must learn. And it will serve the new employment and labor minister well if he pays attention to something like creating an office of employment statistics or labor statistics in Ghana that can independently gather this data that the political and academic and economic classes can agree on. So we wish him well. Mr. Speaker, the second person I want to speak about is the Honorable Murtala Mohammed Ibrahim. Whether or not we can rely on what somebody has written as a matter of fact is a debate that is at large. But Mr. Speaker, now the fight against Galamsey, as he also alluded to in his vetting, is for lands, they will be able to maybe defense, etc. They will be able to do a bit more in addition to what has been done already. It's a fight that successive. We recall the videos of President Akufo as you go there. Today, the CAP will try and achieve some results in addition to what has been achieved in that area. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak about the Minister Designate for Communication. He should pay attention to. First is value-added services in the telecom space. A lot of work is being done on voice and data, but if you look at the global economy, a lot of young people are finding can do a lot more in that space. You shouldn't just focus on the telcos, voice and data, but value-added services and how to help young Ghanaians take advantage of that.
Business process outsourcing
attendant to that is the case of business process outsourcing centers. India, Singapore, some other parts of the world are creating a lot of jobs for young people through BPOs.
The minister pays attention to that area.
Ghana well if the minister pays attention to that area. And also the fintech ecosystem requires a lot of support for the young Ghanaians. A lot of them previously will be doing what they can do some more. And so it will serve Ghana well if he pays some attention to that. Two final points and then I'll rest, Mr. Speaker. The Minister for Sports and Recreation.
New administration that has been talking a lot about the 24-hour economy.
New administration that has been talking a lot about the 24-hour economy.
For some people it's becoming like...
In fact, Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy for some people is becoming like... When you ask about everything, they say 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy requires them to pay attention. It's one viable way, Kofi. That is one viable way that night sports under those floodlights can function. That the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration be quick to you before we left office. Mr. Speaker, my very final point is to the Transport Minister, Honorable Nipe, very fine gentleman. Not only that.
The immediate exited administration piloted a rollout of electronic vehicles in the public transport area as part of efforts of reducing the cost of transport. Today, the new president has interestingly named the energy minister also as Minister for Green Transition. So it's an indication that there's a lot of interest to ensure that the green space is that the green minister
it will help if the minister collaborating with the minister for energy
EVs
ensure that the policy on EVs is put to use as quickly as possible. In particular, Mr. Speaker, the duties of on electronic vehicles, so that people who want to go into electronic vehicles, particularly large occupancy electronic vehicles, will find them cheaper, bring them in, and help to reduce the cost of transportation. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, we'll support the motion that was moved by the chairman of the committee. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kojo Oponkrumah. Yes, let me now turn to Adaku, Minister for Roads and Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion moved by the chairman of the Appointment Committee and seconded by our respected colleague, the minority leader.
I believe Honorable
Mr. Speaker, indeed, I believe Honorable Peppo have what it takes to drive the government's agenda of creating more job opportunities. He's a very experienced politician and of a calm demeanor, passionate about the environment, and has advocated on many occasions what we can do. And I know that he's somebody who has got a research background as well. So,
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Mutala can handle them. Mr. Speaker, with regard to Honorable Sam George, I respect the position taken by the
just to say that
minority.
Their stance
but just to say that their stance is
if we begin to, for
a
instance,
bit problematic.
Some of the
if we
reasons
begin
given,
to, for instance,
for not
some of the reasons given his spouse. Mr. Speaker, Sam George is the owner of his wife's business. Details of that business.
You can be
so this idea that I'm just saying.
I am just saying.
I am just saying.
Whilst is him today.
I am just saying.
Whilst is
that
him today.
Whilst is him today. Whilst is him today.
Some other
one day.
Which has no relation.
Be prepared that some other questions which has no relation to
and then this,
the portfolio can come up.
Secondary.
And then this thing
income.
about his secondary source of income.
So
really?
Colleagues on the other side are saying that if
colleagues on the other side are saying that if somebody were to ask you to actually determine how much you spend as a member of parliament, you will be able to account for all of it and put it in a document. Oh, but that is your point. I think this point are too feeble. These points are too feeble points to be used to say that you will not support him. But you have your point. With regard to Honorable
the new minister
Kofi Edi, the new minister designate for youth and a number of astroturfs across the country.
Many of them are not built to standard.
The record though is that
some of them are
many of them are not built to standard,
and
some of them are failing already, and many of them are let's face it. Many of them are in
constituencies located to this side.
Many of them are in constituencies located to this side of the house at the moment.
But he's made
that is a fact.
He's made a very important point.
He's made a very important point. He's made a very important point. That let's ensure that we can put those to use even beyond when the sun to be able to do that. With regard to Honorable Nipe, I have no doubt that he understands exactly what the job description is. One of the things he talked about
EV policy.
The previous government said they have got an EV policy. And then on the day of the launching of the buses, we were told 100 EV buses are available. I checked that time.
So we don't have 100
only 10 buses were registered at DVA.
We have 10.
So we don't have 100 EV buses. We have 10
on the
and
way.
get stuck in traffic.
It may not be able to get to
on the way.
We don't have the
it may not be able to get to Tamankamba because we don't have the infrastructure and the quality. We don't have because you need to charge it. It doesn't come. It is not fuel. So I agree with you. Finally, Mr. Speaker,
I know
things that when he's speaking or people speaking from the other side,
Honorable Oponkrumah was
harassed.
I saw my
when Honorable Oponkrumah was speaking, our leader and the Minister of Education raised an issue. Mr. Speaker, the spectacle we saw at the appointment committee, I was there the last time. I am happy we have been able to resolve it. Leader,
I saw
the fact that Honorable Sam George should retract and other things. I want to use this opportunity. I know
we are not blind
that as members of parliament, we are not blind. We all know and we can tell who in the parliamentary service or we have suspicion could be NDC or an MPP. But we never put that kind of information.
You know that
there are members of parliament who have direct relations, and you know that there are members of parliament who have direct relations with people in the parliamentary service. But the point I'm making is that by which the minority leader, the way actually by which of the appointment committee, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, no, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, member. I just left my job as a quick. I can tell my colleagues, I just left my job as a quick. Whenever I'm speaking, somebody puts my mic off. I can tell you, I can do that right now. Minister, that when you are speaking, Minister, address me. The issue about the clerk has been addressed by the issue about the clerk has been addressed by the speaker. So let's focus on the nominee. And they are extremely traumatized. Mr. Speaker, after the minority, all I'm going to say, Mr. Speaker, allow me. All I'm going to say is that give the opportunity to my very good friend, the respected minority leader, to openly apologize to the clerk. Mr. Speaker, they should not tempt us to do the same thing that when you speak, honorable members. And I can see, Mr. Speaker, there's a colleague, a female colleague on the other side. There's a female colleague on the other side who have become arrested in that. Mr. Speaker, I am just saying that I know Mr. Speaker defended her. Mr. Speaker, I sit here. I say everybody in Parliament knows which NDC or NPP is political. NDC or NPP, but we never use that against them. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you the political coloration of the four people sitting here. A very respected leader of this house to actually lay into the clerk that way. I am saying that personally, apologize on the floor. He can decide to do it. Mr. Speaker, he can decide not to do it. He can decide not to do it. But I am just saying them here to calm them down that it's not something personal. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, house, and you be in the chair, and then we leave it there. We speak, and then we leave it there. For the first time since I entered this house in 2013, police got so infuriated to the extent of physically destroying tools that have been given to us to work with. Should never happen again. That's why. Because I was sitting there. The council in front of me. The council in front of me. Please. Mr. Speaker, do you know why I need to talk about this? I have been invited. I've been invited by the committee. Honorable member, honorable minister, please hold on to this. I wish we hold on to this. Let's focus on the nominee. We will revisit this particular issue. I think we will revisit this particular issue. Let's focus on the nominee and pass them. Some of them sitting here, all what they are waiting is they have been passed. So please, the minority side suggest that he was expecting him to retract things he said about President Akufo-Addo. I am honorably urging my leader that you use the same principles by which you use to say that you will not support, in which you lay to and then apologize. Thank you very much. Leader. Will you put leader? Leader. Let me deal with it. Please. Mr. Speaker, my respected who is now the friend and colleague who is now the minister of Roads and Highways, in making his contribution and introduced an important matter in the course of which arose. Speaker, is that what I'm sure he's not aware has been discussed is that this matter
has been discussed at a very high level
engagement
in this house.
And
we've had engagement.
I am not the person
behind my ego to hurt another person.
I assured Mr. Speaker that
based on the engagement, I was actually, in respect of all the matters,
maybe somebody
will use the eye to provoke
that which is provocation.
Mr. Speaker,
I shall proceed
without equivocation.
In terms of what
I shall proceed.
My brother said.
In terms of what my brother said.
I don't mind he
saying. And he and I have a long relationship.
It is for the good of
I don't mind he saying that.
Today I'm for the 6th.
It is for the good of all of us. Today I'm for the 6th.
And Kwame is saying that
if Kwame is saying that,
and my act for
he knows the family.
It doesn't mean anything.
And my act for, please. It doesn't mean anything. Please.
If Kwame holds a view that he knows,
if Kwame holds a view that he knows the family, my reaction on
has resulted
the conduct of
in some trauma to the family.
Has resulted
he knows the family. I
in some trauma to the family.
And the lady
he knows the family. I don't know the
family.
Let
me, Mr. Speaker.
And the lady in question.
Unreservedly.
Let me, Mr. Speaker.
Say.
Unreservedly.
What's her name? I want to mention the name.
Say. What's her name? I want to mention the name in full.
I will do it.
Please.
Mr. Speaker.
I will do it.
Let me
Mr. Speaker. Say. Let me unreservedly.
To the clerk to the
Jagger, go back. I am sorry.
Let me
also say
she bears
to her husband, Mr. Speaker.
Let me also
she bears Mrs. Let me my comment in respect of internal matter.
Is traumatized
if as a husband
I hereby
he is traumatized by this,
apologize
I hereby unreservedly say sorry to the children.
Say sorry.
Let me unreservedly
the extended
say
family,
sorry
those
to the extent of by
disappointment
my outpour
in her conduct
of
and to
disappointment
all her colleagues
in her conduct
in the parliamentary service,
and to all her colleagues in the parliamentary service, including colleagues who felt that I could have managed the matter better. Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry.
And
I again apologize unreservedly, and I know
we would be able
that with all discussions held,
in spite of
we would be able to work better in spite of some reservations
that
we may have. Mr. Speaker, let me emphasize that even at least I've had a better approach. This afternoon we met.
And she
I had the opportunity of looking at drafts
relationship
and she making corrections, and
she and I did not
relationship
have
has been restored.
She knows
she and I did not have a bad blood. She knows the relationship, the former relationship I had with her in our work. Except that Kwame, I have been a majority leader before.
You were here opposite.
I was in that black seat.
The standard
you were here opposite. The standard
in respect of dealings between the majority and
in respect of dealings between the majority and the minority leader was what perhaps compelled my reaction.
A man must be heard. Please,
colleagues, a man must be heard. Please, a man must be heard.
She
please
held us to such a high standard.
She held us to such a high standard, and I felt that the same treatment could come from her whilst we are in minority. But that notwithstanding, I concede that there is always a better way to react to a situation. And I will not allow ego draw this, and I would write a personal letter to her to keep for her records from the bottom of my heart. Mr. Speaker, I rest my case.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity given me. I rise to comment on and in so doing to commend highly the respected majority leader, the respected minority leader, the Honourable Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin, for the nobility, civility, apologize unreservedly, and withdrawing any comments that may have been deemed offensive. Note that this is not the first time in relation to the activities of the appointment committee and processes for parliamentary approval occasion was to apologize to a nominee who was before the committee, who stated that he felt he and his family and chiefs were offended by some utterances of the minority leader. He unreservedly apologized and retracted. Today he has demonstrated, but is on the 10th report of the appointment committee pending approval of this house. It is members of the majority is watching to demonstrate the higher standards of nobility, of humility, and of service. Mr. Speaker, my respected senior minister for education earlier had quoted Article 78(1) that ministers of state shall be members of parliament or members who have the same eligibility to become members of parliament. But Mr. Speaker, there is a reason why the framers of the constitution insisted that when the president appoints a minister, they must obtain the prior approval of parliament. It goes beyond the technical qualification. It goes beyond, among others, are the traits they look out for. I am looking at my colleagues taking a cue from the nobility just demonstration. Honorable Rashid Pepu, very respected member of this house. I've had the opportunity to review one of his books that he authored, True Meaning of Life. His temperament and his past record of public service give me every calm labor front that we are a city of stakeholders within the labor, and even not fully when the expectations are not on 24 hours economy. The nominee assured the House and the committee that he would work with his government to ensure that companies that are not already be able to employ 3 teams and 3 batches, 3 shifts for 24-hour economy to be fully operationalized. That is a commendable assurance. But we want to see that assurance given effect to in the first budget that may be presented to this House. That will be the commitment that indeed there is concrete plans to incentivize the private sector to tap into President Mahama's 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, we wish him well. On Honorable Joseph Bukari Nikpe, Minister for Transport Designate, I have every confidence that the minister will have what it takes, given his temperament and how we know him, to be able to engage the multiple stakeholders, particularly within our public transport front, to ensure that it's unified, that ensure that they provide safer, that the general concern of the public relating to the poor state of aircraft and how operating in Ghana will be looked into to ensure that we have value for money, that we have improved air transport system, and that outdated aircraft, Mohammed, the Minister Designate for Environment, on page 49, Mr. Speaker, the nominee acknowledged the steps taken by the erstwhile government, the MPP government, in making available abundant solar energy system, or championing an initiative where the government agencies and ministries will tap into these resources to ensure that we have efficient energy utilization. President Trump signed an executive instrument that saw the United. In reaction to this very important concern or development, the nominee assured that he was going to do something about it. But beyond the rhetoric, it is important that the nominee pays attention to exploring innovative financing mechanisms, because there will definitely be financing shortfalls to be able to finance the financing gaps within, and wish him well in his pursuit. But he concluded on page 50, as contained on page 51 of the report, that as part of his legacies, he is going to ensure that he leaves a legacy of discipline at the ministry, and that all the agencies under his ministry will also be called to discipline. And to this, we are all urging that he walks the talk, particularly when he cites discipline as a legacy he wants to leave at the ministry. Regarding Honorable Sam George, Minister for Communication,
Digital Technology and Innovation designate. It is important that the minister, when the poor child in Asin Jinabodye deserves to have the same infrastructure to support its 21st century level in urban areas. And that is one challenge that will be a feather in his cap if you looked at. One of the commitments he himself cited was the challenge of cybercrime activities. And we would urge him that, if approved, to pay attention to sanitizing the business education. Kofi Idi Adams, Minister Designate for Sports and Recreation. He has assured this House that under his leadership, he is going to ensure that Black Stars brings home caps, that our national teams bring home medals and laurels. We will support him in that feat. Football is one sport that unites the whole country, that tones down the tensions when politics raises it. Sports comes in to unite us. It is important that he pays attention to that sector, and beyond that, to expand the development of other sports. That for the purposes of tomorrow, serving in the executive, if you find yourself in backbench or in the are as important as when you are nominated. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable. Okay, Ferris.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will keep it brief. Mr. Speaker, my colleague and brother, the Honorable Member for Ofuasia UAB, made a point in his submission that no significant savings can be made by cutting down the number of ministers. Mr. Speaker, I beg to differ. The fact is that ministers, and today we have 60 ministers. It is a mathematical certainty that you will spend less. Mr. Speaker, there used to be a Ministry of Information with a whole setup that had both political appointees, public servants, and civil servants. Today, their functions have been taken over by an office called Minister in Charge of Government Communications under the Presidency. What that means is that today there will be 76 less employees working to disseminate government information than before. Mr. Speaker, apart from you, in doing what President Mahama has done, what he has done has sent a signal to the people of Ghana will not be spent on the creature comforts of more politicians who occupy offices with questionable functional necessity. Was carved out into 3 different ministries. Today, President Mahama has consolidated that ministry, and all the work that the 3 ministries did, there will be greater efficiency. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, whilst I respect the rights of our colleagues on the other side to oppose the nominee, I must express dismay about the reasons assigned for that they would cite some constitutional or legal impediments or even moral turpitude as the reason why his nomination has run some commentary on the head of another state institution, the judiciary. Mr. Speaker, it raises the question as to when they became the mouthpiece of the judiciary. As far as I know, the Chief Justice has adequate outlets to express disapproval or disagreement with anything that anybody says. We must respect the independence of state institutions and not take over their functions. Mr. Speaker, also, you see, as members of parliament, whereas we are all here mostly on the ticket of political parties, we are first and foremost representatives of the people of Ghana. They have certain expectations of us. One of them is to engage in to settle political scores, especially when the same matters that have been discussed in the public domain have been lost by our colleagues on the other side.
Honorable Felix.
I do not believe, Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, I do not believe that okay, all right.
Yes. I just wanted you to be straightforward with it. Don't invite unnecessary. Just focus on the nominee, and it's already 8 o'clock.
Mr. Speaker, I'll do so. Mr. Speaker, I am making the point, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member.
Making the point, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable
the reasons being
please.
For opposing the Honorable Sam George's nomination, in my candid view, are untenable. They do not constitute sufficient grounds for opposing the nominee first imminently. Let me start with the Honorable Kofi. When I was a national youth organizer of the NDC, he reposed confidence in me to nominate me to represent the NDC was a major national conference in Kumasi. He showed that he had a keen eye for talent, and he goes to a ministry where sporting talent is key to a survivor. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, Ghana's sporting sector is in complete disarray. Only yesterday or the day before, a football fan who had gone to witness a football match did not go home back alive. He lost his life under tragic circumstances, compelling a halt of the Ghanaian League. These are challenges that I believe, Mr. Speaker, that the fact that he is able to stand his ground and stick to his conviction is proof. We do not want, what we do not want are flip-floppers who, on the altar of political convenience, will abandon their convictions. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, we do not need wimps to become ministers. We need men of conviction and courage. And Honorable Sam George has demonstrated same. So I will lend support to his approval. If our opponents, Mr. Speaker, if our colleagues,
gentlemen,
Mr. Speaker, if our colleagues want to claw back lost political capital, they are going to have to do so the hard way, which is convincing Ghanaians that they have a superior message. They cannot use the platform of the appointments committee to sanitize people whose conduct was in the full view of the public.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honorable Samuel Bujinapo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. With the Honorable Abdul Rashid Hassan Pelpu. Mr. Speaker, when I had a privilege to serve as Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Pelpu was a ranking member on the Lands and Natural Resources Committee. Mr. Speaker, perfect gentleman, very capable, and I believe he will serve well at the Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment. Mr. Speaker, I will urge him to pay attention to the tripod of labor, government and employers, so we can have a calm on the minister designate for sports, the Honorable Kofi Adam. So Speaker, he's been on the political front for a long time, for a while now, and we all know him. He's a colleague, and I believe he's capable of reviving Ghana. Transports, who is my in-law, in whom I'm most pleased. So Speaker, he's a fine gentleman. He's demonstrated a lot of knowledge, and I believe that he will bring his calm personality, wisdom, and stature to bear. Airport, which was built in Tamale by His Excellency Nana Addo Danquah Akufo-Addo. Mr. Speaker, by His Excellency Nana International Airport and not the Tamale Airport. Mr. Speaker,
Nana Addo Danquah Akufo-Addo built the Yakubu Tale Airport for Tamale, the first airport in northern Ghana. Of course, the first interchange again was built by Nana Addo Danquah Akufo-Addo. So, Speaker, I wish my in-law, the Honorable Nupe, will build the second phase. And may I advise, Mr. Speaker, that he pays some attention to water transportation, particularly on the Holter Lake, and also rail transportation. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Mutala, who is being nominated, we have a Ministry of Environment, we now have a Minister of State responsible for climate change and sustainability, we have a Minister responsible for green transition. We all know in Ghana that matters relating to climate change falls within the four corners of the Ministry of Environment. And therefore, there will be the need for some streamlining so that the Ministry of Environment will take its proper role as a lead ministry when it comes to climate change. When you go to Agric, you have issues of climate change, Ministry of Energy. But the Ministry of Environment is a lead agency. And today that the United States has opted out of the climate environment, I believe that the minister will have a lot of work to do in championing climate change in Ghana and across. But Mr. Speaker, whilst at it, let me just take the opportunity to give a little advice to my senior brother, the Honorable Mutala. And that advice, Mr. Speaker, is that the temperament required for opposition politics and opposition activism is fundamentally different from the temperament required as a minister. And I will plead with him, and I will crave his indulgence, that he should watch his temper with a calm temperament, Mr. Speaker, with a calm temperament, so that he can administer the affairs of the ministry correctly. The Ministry of Communication and George. Mr. Speaker, his approval or otherwise is a matter of intense controversy in this House. If he ever was to get the approval of this House, and the if is with emphasis, if he was to get approval of this House, I did pose a question to him about artificial intelligence, and it would be great if he developed the area of artificial intelligence, particularly as we have this war between the United States and the Republic of China. I believe that Ghana should also leverage our knowledge in the artificial intelligence space. But Mr. Speaker, again, with him, as my younger brother, and somebody I know quite well, I will first of all advise him that, Mr. Speaker, I respectfully advise him that he should take a cue from the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, when you err, you apologize. When you are unfair to people, you apologize. Mr. Speaker, strongness is a sign of strength. Apologize. And Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Sam George, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Sam George, I'm not too sure that anybody can take away some of his strengths. Articulate, eloquent, exhibit some knowledge. In that there is a perception that he is needlessly aggressive, controversial, combatant, and if I may say, an arrogant. Mr. Speaker, and we saw a bit of it at the vetting. And Mr. Speaker, I said it with all objectivity. I'm not taking a swipe at him. When I had the privilege of being nominated as a minister, Mr. Speaker, I had the rare privilege of being nominated at the age of 37. And I took a lot of advice from senior colleagues in this House. I took a lot of advice from statesmen in the country. And even all through my career as a minister, I sought a lot of guidance and wisdom. And Mr. Speaker, in all humility and modesty, I will say that is how I survived the 4 years as minister. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, whatever happens to my brother today, I think he should to go there and be calm. He should listen more than he talks. He should not exhibit, exuberance and be dismissive. Mr. Speaker, and when you err, either to your chief director or civil servants or junior officers, just as the minority leader quite graciously and wisely did, you just say, I'm sorry. Nothing, there's nothing that takes that, it doesn't take anything away from you. My brother and friend, the Honorable Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, talks about conviction. Yes, we all believe in the politics of conviction and not convenience. But when you err, when you are unfair to people, as I believe he was, you apologize. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude, Mr. Speaker. Let me conclude, still on the matter of communication, and say that
What has happened to some of our colleagues is just a question of standards. It's a question of standards. And let us all be careful. Maybe that advice goes to people like us on this side of the divide, even more than it goes to them. Just because they say when you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. It's a wise saying. When you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. And let's be careful when we are in opposition. What we say and do, and the standards we set. Today, my friend, the Honorable Sam George himself, who is popularly sometimes referred to as Jata. Just because the Jata and Lion today, he himself is now in the pocket of his wife, on his own admission. And Mr. Speaker, what's at it? Mr. Speaker, what's at it? Mr. Speaker, what's at it? Mr. Speaker, that is what, Mr. Speaker, that is what the kind of politics we do in opposition can do to us. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Sam George, as an elder of the Perez Chapel, not a member, as an elder of the Perez Chapel, and as somebody who espouses his Christian values, should also be mindful of what he watches when he's in Parliament. He should be mindful of that as well, especially when serious business is being conducted in the House. Mr. Speaker, today it will appear that my brother will have some explanation. Mr. Speaker,
honorable members, leader, you want to speak? Yes, leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Abu Jinapo just indicated that when he took up the very serious office of Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, he did well in his opinion because he listened to good advice from seniors and from elders. Let me continue to advise that platforms like this should not be used to attack the persons of colleagues. The persons of colleagues. The Honorable nominee is our colleague. He is a member of this House. We may have our political disagreements, but we should not use the consideration of a report about them to go personal against them. As for some of the things that you are referring to, I'm not sure what, it is not verified. It is not verified. So please, kindly withdraw those ones. Kindly withdraw those ones, and then let's continue.
Yes. Yes.
Whenever there is difficulty, you call upon leadership to assist you. We are debating on a matter. I've heard a very junior member of this House who is now learning the rules of this House. He had an opportunity. He attacked. Okay, no. Mr. Speaker, I was even signaling that you should stop our brother Felix Ofosukwachi. Mr. Speaker, we have our views. We've expressed those views. We've done so with all respect. Mr. Speaker, when the debate was ensuing, I received a text from one of us who I so much respect that 4 years or 8 years is not far away. I was touched. We will do the politics and criticize you constructively, but you must also be careful the words you use. We are considering a report. You are in government. You are not even mindful. Yes, to the backbenchers who are not ready to learn, go ahead. Your leader spoke, and we listened to him in silence. The least you can do is to show respect to your leaders, those of you at the backbench. And I have what it takes to correct you. I will call your names one by one. That when members are going out of order, with greatest respect, please stop them and let them get on the right path. Because he started, and then when it gets to his turn, they don't want to be quiet to listen. Mr. Speaker, we have done more than 30 nominees. It's only 2 we've expressed concern. And even so, the horses have not bolted yet. We can still keep them in the stable. We are not, you don't get it. You cannot use shouts to have your way. That will not happen. You must know. Yes, you can shout. You cannot use shout. You cannot intimidate to have your way. You cannot shout, attempt to intimidate to have your way. It will not work. This chamber, if you don't know, ask your seniors. They've been in minority.
Leader, thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I want to address you. And they must listen. I will be heard and I will speak. So make your noise. It's getting to 9. You have a government business. So keep making your noise. We don't have government business. So keep shouting. No. I'll finish. Mr. Speaker, let us be guided. Let us be guided. And if we say we are showing mutual respect, the mutual respect, when leaders are on their feet, the least a backbencher and a first timer can do is remain quiet. You can heckle your colleague backbencher. It is 8:36. If they are interested in what we call in Parliament filibustering, we will assist them to filibuster. If you want us to leave here at 1 a.m., you the backbenchers, continue your misconduct. Continue your misconduct. We don't have government business. You do. So continue your misconduct. Until you keep quiet, it's 8:39. Your president is waiting to swear in minister. Talk to them. Leader. Mr. Speaker, I want, and we are taking 5, they should, a secret ballot can take. All of these must be done. And if we are to manage the process, it will materially depend on their conduct. Wait, I know what I'm doing. Mr. Samuel Abujinapo is on me to patiently, if they don't want to listen to him, I will continue to be at his aid and protect him. Business, and you will see. Yes, you think you are in opposition.
Honorable members,
behavior, be there.
Honorable members, honorable members. Leader, thank you. Yes, Honorable Abu.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, calm, quiet, and hear him in silence. I rest my case. He will be heard, and he must be heard.
Honorable members, I have decided not to allow any interjection. So that is why when you raise this issue, I just want us to flow so that we can finish early. So please, honorable members, not that I don't know what I'm doing. Please allow me to. Honorable Abu, just finish up, conclude, and let's move on.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, who is a senior in this House and a senior, I take counsel from him. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Majority Leader has indicated that the subject matter for which reason I gave the advice is not verified. This is a state. To that extent, I unreservedly withdraw and apologize to my brother Sam George. No difficulty with that. Mr. Speaker, but in so saying, I think it goes to reiterate the point I was making in my submission, Mr. Speaker, that, Mr. Speaker, fairness and justice is a basis of nobility, not weakness. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, the gentlemanness expressed and exhibited by the Minority Leader, Mr. Speaker, he unfairly, and he's been captured in this report, he unfairly attacked the Chief Justice, and he's been called upon to apologize. He attacked the President, he attacked the former President. He's called upon to apologize, and he will not. Because I want to conclude by saying that I wish my brother very well. I don't know what his fate will be. I see he's very pensive, he's very anxious, and little youth. So let me conclude by what you say. Be careful the standards you set. So this government is less than 1 month old, and yet, and the rest. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I wish him well, but if he gets the opportunity and ends up at the Ministry of Communication, he should watch his temperament. It will do him a lot of good. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, listed 14.
Speaker, that's not how you conclude it. No.
Mr. Speaker, the report before you has two components. The report before you has two components, Mr. Speaker. No, you didn't say so. No. Please, we should be clear. No, we should be clear. Please. Because those the other one, we should be clear.
Honorable Minority Leader, please allow me to do my job. Yes. So please allow me. I know what I'm doing, please. So you just thing is, all those in favor that Honorable Abdul Rashid is approved as Minister Designate for Labor, Jobs and Employment, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Abdul Rashid Hassan Pepu has been approved as minister designate. For all those in favor that Honorable Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed is approved. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion. All those in favor that Honorable Kofi Idi Adams is approved as minister designate for Ministry of Sports and Recreation. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Kofi Idi Adams has been approved. All those in favor that Honorable Joseph Bukari Nipe is approved as minister designate for Ministry of Transport say aye. All those against say no. Bukari Nipe has been approved as minister designate for Ministry of Transport.
Go ahead. We are not going to vote. It's very good. You don't have numbers to say that to you. Where is the numbers? What are you? What are
you? Mr. Speaker, as indicated in the report of the committee, the 88 members of members of the minority reject the nomination of Honorable Samuel Nefe George. We remain opposed to the decision, for we rely on our earlier grounds of opposition without entirely in the hands and on the heads of the majority in this house. It is their cross to carry. We, the NPP Minority Caucus of 88, and let the record reflect that we have stepped down our opposition in view of the calls by respected members of this house. We are therefore not going to pursue any longer the secret ballot of this house, who have reached out in utmost respect, and we want to demonstrate that good. We would rather opt to abstain from the vote so that it becomes your sole decision for Hansa. We are therefore opposed to it, and Mr. Speaker, it is majority. Carry your own cross. We wash our hands on them. This is all we've done. Take it.
Honorable members, now that the minority as a group has abstained, putting the question, I'll also ask for those who are against. Then I'll go ahead and ask for those who are abstaining, so that the records will capture as the minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, our work is to assist you. Mr. Speaker, I am on my feet led by precedents. Once I, as the leader of our side, in my submissions, have indicated that the entire 88 are abstaining. That's honorable members, please, let's allow. Don't worry. Mr. Speaker, we have had this before me, the entire 88. Let the record reflect as such, and we want Hansard to so capture. We had nothing to do with it. So, Mr. Speaker, this issue of back and forth, we are not part of it, and let it put the question to them. That's all.
Mr. Speaker, I think it is clear that the minority has no intention to participate in the vote. So you put the question and then let us vote. If after we have voted, nobody objects and calls for head count or anything of that sort, then the decision is taken. It's a majority decision. The report already says that it's a majority, or there are 88 in the chamber. I withdraw. So, Mr. Speaker, just put the question.
Honorable members, the question for Samuel moved by majority. Say aye. Honorable members, it's obvious. Honorable, it's hereby approved by the majority of this House. Yes, Chairman of the committee.
Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to, on behalf of the nominees, approved, extend the majority side. Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, on behalf of the House, let me congratulate our colleagues for their appointment. Yes.
Yes. Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes. Chairman, he has late. Delaying.
11th report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nominations for...
The report has been laid and the report to be distributed to honorable members.
Right, honorable speaker.
Chairman, I'll give you the opportunity. Let me hear.
Mr. Speaker, we have done enough government business. It's 9 p.m. Honorable Governor Kwame Agboja, once upon a time as a chief whip, will not allow government business to be conducted at night. He knows it. Mr. Speaker, the report has just been circulated. Mr. Speaker, I have checked. Members have not had the opportunity to read. Mr. Speaker, we've often been accused of not doing proper diligence. Yes. We are supposed to read the report. The 11th report, Mr. Speaker, all of a sudden they have populated this chamber. Mr. Speaker, with a lot of their backbenchers, which one... Mr. Speaker, this will not allow. Democracy does not mean that you use your supposed super majority to intimidate us. Mr. Speaker, let us go and relax. Come back tomorrow morning, read the report, and come and do the government business. Mr. Speaker, I would not support this idea of overloading members of parliament. Mr. Speaker, our health, the health of the members of parliament must be of great concern. This report cannot be taken today. There must be a suspension of the House for us to go through the report. And if committee cannot invite this House in terms of Order 1041, the rules are not to be abused. You should sparingly.
It includes your own friend Akadu.
I know the previous report included your own friend Santos. But I want to believe him that he should allow us to come tomorrow.
addendum paper 2 has been moved by the chairman of the appointment committee. Yes, minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that I'm making some view of the motion. This motion is supposed to be. Is it not that the one for one? Yes. Mr. Speaker, for a lot of time, I will limit myself to just one observation.
The chair of the committee, in moving this up, I will, however, second his motion by giving him the opportunity to give stated reasons for the report to be adopted proper. Thank you.
So it means you've not seconded? Yes. Chairman, give us.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the motion is moved and seconded. It's now for the consideration of the House.
Seconder wants to know why the reason for one or the 1041.
Right, Honorable Speaker. The reason for waiving the 2 days notice that has to be given before the report is taken is that, Right Honorable Speaker, vetting on the nominees have been completed. The report is ready to be taken. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to do this to enable the President to constitute his cabinet on a record time. So, Right Honorable Speaker, once the vetting has been completed and the report is ready, there is absolutely no necessity based on which the House will have to wait for 2 good days before taking the report. Mr. Speaker, in that vein, I moved that we waive the period of the notice so that we can proceed to take the substantive motion. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker.
So, Leader, more or less is an application to the chair to waive that.
Mr. Speaker, I'm opposed to the application. The gravamen of his application is to the effect that the President needs to constitute his cabinet. The impression he's creating is that the President conveyed these nominees to this House and we have delayed. So any further delay would cause the President. Mr. Speaker, the President was bringing the names here in tots. He was coming here in bits. These nominees, even the adverts we put out requesting for public memoranda, some were given 2 days, some 3 days. Advantage of our decision to recuse ourselves as a result of Mr. Speaker's communication to railroad all their nominees who were on the corridors. Mr. Speaker, I was watching in my office within record time. Congratulations, bye-bye. Congratulations. Mr. Speaker, within an hour, who were on the all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Mr. Speaker, 9 nominees within an hour. Mr. Speaker, it's only 2 nominees, Kwabna Minta Akando and our respected friend and brother Sami Okujeto Ablakwa, who is to assume the foreign ministry portfolio. That is if we even complete. That is student days politics energy is still in him. So he's even calling for second vetting. Mr. Speaker, they took advantage of that situation to push all 9 nominees through. Do you call this vetting? And then you come back to make an application that the president must constitute his cabinet. Mr. Speaker, I am opposed to this application, and if Mr. Speaker is not, and still want to grant his application, which in my view is very lame. It's very lame. Mr. Speaker, it's entirely in your hands.
Thank you very much. I've granted the waiver. So, honourable members, the motion has been moved and has been seconded. This is procedural, and the question is all those in favour of the motion listed 2 in the order paper addendum say aye. All those against say no. Adopted. Now, let's move to motion 3.
Right, Honourable Speaker. Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that this Honourable House be for appointment as Minister. And Right, Honourable Speaker, in doing so, I present the 11th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as ministers. The following people. Right, Honourable Speaker, first on the list is Honourable Kobna Minta Akando as Minister Designate for Health, Honourable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa as Minister Designate for Foreign Affairs, Honourable Seidu Isifu as Minister of State Designate for Climate Change and Sustainability, Mrs. Charity Gardner as Minister Designate for Savannah Region, Mr. Wilbert Petty Brentum as Minister Designate for Western Region, Mr. Joseph Adai Akwaboa as Minister Designate for Bono Region, Mr. Francis Owusu Entry as Minister Designate for Bono East Region, Honorable Felix Kwachi Oposu as Minister of State Designate for Government Communications, Mr. Edumwa Ekopeni Ochre as Minister Designate for Central Region, Mr. Poison Charles Luanga as Minister of the Hansa Department to capture the entire report, 103 pages report as having been read, the Speaker of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and Standing Order 217. The committee considered the nominations submitted competent, knowledgeable, and well-suited for their respective ministerial roles. The committee therefore recommends to the House by consensus the adoption of its report and the approval of the nomination as Minister for Health, Mr. Samuel Okujeto, Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa as Minister of Sustainability, Mrs. Charity Gardner as Minister for Ahafo Region, Mr. Salisu B. Awurebe Isifu as Minister for Savannah Region, Mr. Wilbert Petty Brentum as Minister for Western North Region, Mr. Joseph Nelson as Minister for Western Region, Mr. Joseph Adai Akwaboa as Minister for Bono Region, Kwachi Oposu as Minister of State responsible for Government Communications, Mr. Edumwa Ekopeni Wanga as Minister for Upper West Region. Right, Honourable Speaker, I urge the House to similarly adopt the committee's report by consensus. I humbly submit.
Yes. Yes, the ranking of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I rise in seconding the motion. In doing so, I would want some observations to be properly captured for Hansard in respect of the reports we have. Mr. Speaker, without doubt that the minority together with the majority agreed to approve him by consensus, and there is no problem at all on his nominee, on his report. Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. The recommendation themselves, nonetheless, the committee recommends to the House by consensus the approval of the nomination of Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa as Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, this would have to be corrected. Our side had a certain understanding of Mr. Speaker's communication. That notwithstanding, we want to presume this to be a regular vetting, though we recuse ourselves at a point. The conclusion here is that the recommendation is by majority decision. Our side is not part of it, and we will take a vote on this matter. Having said so, for the records, Mr. Speaker, on policy, the nominee distinguished himself on the issues regarding the portfolio he is going to occupy. The nominee himself indicated in his CV that he is the chair of the ORA, which committee we have questioned its constitutionality. We are not against any desire of a government to investigate a crime. Not at all. Crime is a crime, and if somebody decides to commit a crime, the laws of the land must deal with the person. But as it is known, if all men find a man's hand in a till, his guilt must be proven. Due process of law is what we've enshrined in our laws. A moment ago, the leader of government business took us through the rule of law when he was commenting on J.B. Danquah and his contribution to national history. So, Mr. Speaker, we are against his chair of this ORA and the activities in the country. We think, and we hold this whole view firmly, their actions are taking this country back. They must allow used institutions to deal with situations. That is why, apart from the mainstream police service, financial crime office center, that is why we set up the office of the special prosecutor. That is why we have the NIB at the police service with specialization in different crimes. So, Mr. Speaker, we don't have to appear too populist by encouraging some of these unconstitutional interventions. He proudly said he's a member of that. Mr. Speaker, let me also state he's a chair and a member. Mr. Speaker, I want to state for plainly that this so-called ORA has been going to their houses and their office premises with video cameras, photographs, taking pictures. They have been using drones. Mr. Speaker, I here, as a leader of my side, I have been a victim of it, yet they say that they don't know. Mr. Speaker, the former defense minister and the clerk to parliament, they changed his vehicle in the name of ORA. Let's be very clear. Certain things that are happening in this country. Can I finish? Honorable colleagues, please, you need to listen. You Parliament House. And when we made inquiries, apparently it was not coming from national security. And those in charge said that they were sent by ORA. When they were interrogated further, they said that they are coming from ORA. Mr. Speaker, we need to be careful which destination we want to drive the vehicle called the oral committee is to take advantage. Two people take advantage, scared of what? We do not have to wish this for the country. The nominee, Honorable Collins, he is seconding the motion. So just let's tolerate. Honorable Collins, I know why I'm tolerating. Honorable Collins Dauda is a very experienced member of this house. He is recounting his own experience, but he knows. He calls me Miwafase. Mr. Speaker, he knows that some of us, Mr. Speaker, senior members of this house know that there are some members of this house who have the conscience of the society we live in and have never supported any actions detrimental to them when they were in opposition. If it was bad yesterday, Mr. Speaker, the nominee went further. Mr. Speaker, the nominee went further without being asked. Produced my own. He said that in the name of Aura, they had conducted a search. The good news is that in their attempt to, they came to a conclusion that it is not a state land. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I had become aware that somebody had petitioned Aura. Mr. Speaker, my members, my colleagues who are shouting, they should know that this became a subject matter of the ambit of relevance. So please pay attention. Somebody had filed a petition to Aura claiming that, and the chair of Aura, in coming to his vetting, carried a search report. And in that search report, at least he got to know that where my building is in Winneba is not state land and I've not looted. Mr. Speaker, again, it is important for him as chair. Mr. Speaker, the entire Winneba lands are affected by vested assets through an executive instrument. Mr. Speaker, going further, the nominee, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, if you look at page 30 of the 103 report, I quote, the nominee promised to furnish the committee with the chairman. There's a list of documents that he has been able to furnish and water cleanup companies as at the time that he promised to furnish us on his own volition. Mr. Speaker, this we have not received. Mr. Speaker, the only two they brought, they are still here. The two they brought, his company registration, I have it here. Those two company registration documents, these are the only two that they brought. No, I have captured the document with only on Savi and water cleanup companies. These are the only two we have received. Equity must do equity. Let the record is not pursuing a member of this house. But, Mr. Speaker, the colleague himself, publicly, of always pursuing people. Mr. Speaker, if you are holding feet to the fire, demanding accountability and transparency, it means that you yourself must demonstrate that when subjected to it, you will.
Honourable member, please.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague Honourable Ablakwa
has been taking people on in the public space. He questions people's birth certificates. He questions people. If today he lives at airports and provides it on his CV that he lives at the airport and claims that he is a tenant for 8 years, it only stands to reason that he makes available all documents related to the tenancy. We are not pursuing this person. Ablakwa knows that I, Kwame here, will be the last to stand against his political progress. Never. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I will never. Those who know me and know me well know me and what I stand for. I am a politician like you. I will not be the one to be pursuing you. I will not. But to the extent that you do not spare your colleagues, Mr. Speaker, especially during the vetting, I found it very strange that Mr. Ablakwa apparently took the car loan of 2021 because it's on record. He's used the word, it was unconscionable. He took the car loan, he used it to buy a Land Cruiser. In the second palace, in his second term, that was 2017, he used that one to buy 2 saloon cars. And then the third one, that there is no way the clerk to parliament, upon receiving a letter that a member wants to use his car loan to buy a combine harvester, clerk will not issue a check to a vendor who is selling a combine harvester to a member of parliament. It is not true, and it can't be possible. He has been pursuing people. He is questioning the integrity of members of parliament, that it's unconscionable to access car loan. Yet, on all the 3 terms he's been a member of parliament, he has relied on these facilities. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say it is hypocritical, but it is, and one another and others. Today, he is now going into government. I know, dresses well. He wears quality things. He wears quality shoe, quality suit, quality tie. He dresses well, and I respect him for that, and he knows. If tomorrow somebody says, colleagues, this is a serious matter. If tomorrow, by mere fact that he's a gentleman, he dresses well, somebody now comes to ask you, how much did you buy your suit? The member says that all he has is his MP salary of 15,000. He says that all he does is his MP work. Mr. Speaker, I am saying this because our colleague has taken a lot of public officers to the cleaners. And this is not personal. This is, if you create the impression that you are very holy and very righteous, and you, principle, we are opposed to him because of the inconsistencies and the lack of clarity. That within 1 hour, they took advantage of our absence to pass all of them. All we can say is that majority, go and sin no more. Go. Mr. Speaker, there is a group of 9. Congratulations, bye-bye, I wish you well. Take care of yourself. And for them, Mr. Speaker, we will raise a procedural issue at the right time. But we will not stand in their ways. Regional ministers must take office. We can't allow vacuum at the various regional ministries. Regional, we are opposed to it, to him. We believe that because that foreign ministry is a very serious, important ministry, equivocation states that we will proceed with the same abstinence. We abstain from his decision. All the sins of Ablakwa are upon their head. Get me water. I need water. This is not a dry washing, just some small water. Yes, Mr. Speaker, this one, we are washing our hands. We are washing our hot heels. Mr. Speaker, I'm cleaning. Mr. Speaker, and I'm cleaning. I am cleaning my hands to tell the airport Hilsons are on their head. If tomorrow he and his aura start pursuing you, it is on your head. But if he repents and comes back to this house, we will accept him and make him a wild too. Mr. Speaker, we rest our case.
Honorable members, listen. Honorable members, hey, I'm taking one each. Honorable Dominic, yes. One. After one, I'll put one here, then I'll put the question. Yes. Honorable members, Honorable Suhini, the speaker spoke as the ranking. He seconded. So please don't say the speaker has spoken. He spoke by virtue of being the ranking of the committee. So
that this house is approving. We are talking to the people of Ghana. We are speaking on behalf to, we are not being fair to the people of Ghana, especially, Mr. Speaker, especially when they are not 9, they are 12 people. Mr. Speaker, when these 12 people, the appointment committee used less than 2 hours to approve these 12 people. So I will plead with leadership that do the people of Ghana good by allowing members who are here after 9 o'clock to get the opportunity to comment. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that we should put it on record that these nominees, this group of nominees, have received reports that those who sat on their vetting are given to the people of Ghana. And if you listen to public commentary, the people of Ghana are not happy about what happened. Mr. Speaker, none of us on this side, especially me or any other person, has a personal problem with any nominee. We don't. We do the duty to be able to point out to the people of Ghana.
Honorable Nitiu.
The vetting started from 7 p.m. in the night. Mr. Speaker, for the 12 people. Mr. Speaker, in the morning, the first person we vetted, I think that day, was Akando. Mr. Speaker, the minority participated. Even with their participation and all the opportunities that were given to them, they took only 25 minutes. Mr. Speaker, they left us and we vetted 9 nominees. Personally, I took Felix through a very, very grueling vetting exercise. Mr. Speaker, answered very well, Mr. Speaker. So you cannot create an impression that the committee did not do a good job.
If that's the way he sees it. So allow him to speak.
Mr. Speaker,
he'll give you the opportunity.
Mr. Speaker,
then you also say the way you see the
Mr.
committee.
Speaker, thank you very much. In spite of his attempt to say that he grilled the nominee, 58 minutes, 9 nominees were approved. Can I say? But Mr. Speaker, our people say that the child who was my good friend Honorable Kujo, maybe you are from Accra, me I'm from a village. We are different. Mr. Speaker, my good friend Honorable Okujeto, very young man, has decided that on a 2-acre land where land is $500,000.
Honorable Dominic.
A piece of plot at Airport Hill today is $500,000. I didn't say I'm renting.
Thank you.
We need to be very careful not to wash our dirty linen in public. Right, Honorable Speaker, we know. Right, Honorable Speaker, we know that some matters are for closed city. Politics regarding certain issues. And I are very much aware about certain things that we do in closed city. So please.
Chairman, thank you. Yes, Honorable Dominic.
Mr. Speaker, I was not at the vet and live. I watched him. It was near-headed when that question was put to him by the minority leader. So the people of Ghana are still demanding these answers. It will help him and help this proposal, help every politician. It will help every politician if he's able to let the people of Ghana know where he's getting money to rent that property at Airport Hill. Mr. Speaker, they will do oral work. I commend you. I just want you to make sure that the oral committee is set up properly. I want them to go to Botema, the land that was given between 2014 and I want you to go to Botema. Affordable had where President Kufuor built. The land that shares boundaries will be state land. It was given in 2014 and 2015, part of it 2016. Find out the people who own that land. Mr. Chairman of ORA, Adenta, the Aviation land, find out who that. Mr. Chairman of ORA, I want you to go to Tamale, behind what we call the residency, where the president sometimes goes and he sleeps. Go and find out, they're all state lands. Go and find out the owners of those lands. Go and find out. Mr. Chairman, I want you to go. Mr. Chairman, I want you to go to the land. I want you to go to the land opposite, adjacent to the military cemetery. And until I'm Mr. Speaker, somebody is putting up the mic. Mr. Speaker, I thought that.
Please, let's respect ourselves. Those people who are putting on the mics, please.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I ask the chairman of I think Parliament needs to.
Yeah, Honorable Nitu, I'm not going. Honorable members, those who are putting on their mics.
Now,
when they were doing it, Speaker was here.
Leadership, majority leadership. Members don't put on the mics. Honorable members, when I say this and you get flared up, at times we are doing government business. We have to finish. So we should suspend second. Majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am grateful for the opportunity once again. Mr. Speaker, I said I want the chairman of ORA, and I'll be writing officially to you to go to Tamale and assess. Let me put my hand behind my personal of the state lands that were obtained between 2010 to 2016. I will provide. Mr. Chairman, I'm surprised that accountability, which is in our constitution, has become a problem here. The oral chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, the letter that was written by the Honorable Attorney, the current Attorney General, and why that letter was written and why that letter find out. Mr. Speaker, I am asking the oral chairman to find out the owners. Under the high tension, all that. Mr. Speaker, the country we are building is called Ghana. Actions of government are in the interest of the country and not the interest of any individual or a political party. I am saying to the oral chairman, and I'm saying that when your committee is properly constituted, beware that some of us, I was minister, I don't have a single government property. I never stayed in a government house. I never did anything illegal. And I'm saying that I will be writing officially to you when your committee.
Honourable member, please wind up.
I don't wind up. They will not allow me to speak. I'm here to come to the others. Why? When you are on your feet, one chief year of being in parliament, talking, you are putting up the mic. That is what caused the problems. It's wrong. And leader, call them to order. It's
from their end.
It's now 10 o'clock.
Mr. Speaker.
Let's tolerate.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have paid attention. I have watched my back. If you notice, at a certain point, my back was to the speaker. I have watched carefully. I don't think anybody on this side is fiddling with the mics. Maybe his mic has a problem. So if you can shift to another mic, I think that is where the problem is. Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to my colleagues. We are all here at this time because we want to finish this government business. Mr. Speaker, as democracy so demands, we must have our say. We want to plead with our colleagues to allow a full debate to ensue on the report. I told her we have two reports, report number 10 and report number 11. We're going to do 5-5. 5-5 on this. We opted to abstain. We've done that one. We are left with the 11th report. I seconded it. The first person to make Nitiwul. He's been 19 years in this chamber. He's a senior. Colleagues, let's hear him. When he's done, it will come to you and the process continues. It's 10 o'clock. We are here to help to conclude this. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues must cooperate with you so that we get done. Our 5 would have their bite. Fully, what number were you giving? Because leadership conferred. Mr. Speaker, I'm not challenging you. Leadership conferred. They sent Honorable Doyo to me. She came here. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Doyo came here. You see, sometimes when members don't act in good faith, it becomes difficult. As if we are up on our feet and we want to obstruct them. I'm not a difficult person to insist that, yes, you don't know. I'm not a difficult person. What you are doing, I've done it before. I know how difficult it is. Even to bring all of you into this chamber, I know how difficult it was for the whips. So I won't frustrate you, but we'll do the politics. I will not frustrate you. Ask Harun Idrisu, the kind of person I am. I will not frustrate your politics. No, that is the truth. You must know the truth. Mr. Speaker, we agreed 5-5. If the majority leader wants us to negotiate on the numbers, I am amenable. I know you've been sitting for a very long time. We can deal with it and then make progress. Mr. Speaker, I would want to accept very much. Speaker, for the records and not to avoid ambiguity, the 3 are Honorable Nitiwul, Honorable Abujinapo, and Honorable Ntimfojo. That's it. I want
honorable members. 5 minutes, 3 each. 5 minutes each. I've been sitting here for since I can't go.
It went clear that the policy to dispose of government property, special houses and lands, started under the former President Rawlings, under what we call infilling. They are making it a crime. That is why we are saying that Amiahe lands, Adenta aviation lands, airport lands, east and west, all the areas I have mentioned, will be submitting that to them to fish out who the owners are. If they get the opportunity to be sworn in and passed by this house and be sworn in by the president, I want to wish them well. I got an opportunity to serve Ghana for 8 years with that. They should listen to what Honorable Abu Jinapor said. If you enter the ministry with attitude, 1 year, you'll be out of that place. If you enter the ministry with a mindset that I know all, you will not last. Whatever you want, you will not last. If you enter the ministry with the mindset that you are going to make money, you will not last. It's below you, you will not last. And there are people in this house, outside this house, who never lasted 1 year as ministers. Take it from me. Some did not even last 6 months. Some lasted 1 year, some lasted 1.5 years as ministers. Those who serve 4 years and above should be proud of themselves. I don't wish them bad. Problems to be from you, not from here. We want to take power from you. We are now looking to be ministers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, gentlemen. So nobody is speaking from here. Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the debate on the motion, Minister Designate for the Savannah region, and to say that, Mr. Speaker, is somebody I know very well. He was the NDC Regional Secretary, and indeed I've known him as far back as my days in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Mr. Speaker, I find him a capable, Honorable Akando, Minister Designate for Health, is somebody we all know very well, a senior colleague in this house. He's been very vociferous on matters of health in the area at the Ministry of Health. Mr. Speaker, who I believe distinguished himself when it came to the substantive matters. Mr. Speaker, let me important that I underscore that point. I was very concerned about his perceived leanings, leftist leanings and socialist leanings. I posed a question to him. He gave an answer which I believe will comfort the diplomatic community, that in this very complex geopolitical world of divide, of multipolars, he will be able to shepherd Ghana's foreign policy to bring about, and of course the issue of economic diplomacy is one that I find very important as well. His matter is still at large. Of course, the majority will pass him. When he gets there, we will all cheer him on and wish him well, cooperate with him to position Ghana's foreign policy. But Mr. Speaker, I think it's important that we put this on record. And I'm not getting into the mind or head of my friend Okudzeto Ablakwa, but I can be almost certain that if he was offered the opportunity to chair oral again, Mr. Speaker, he would decline. He would decline. He would decline. Mr. Speaker, because oral has brought the Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa more problems. Mr. Speaker, it's brought him more problems because of fundamental principles. Mr. Speaker, let me underscore one very important principle. Mr. Speaker, the principle of hear the other side, listen to the other side, give the other side a hearing. The majority leader, I think 2 or 3 days ago, the majority leader underscored the same point, that he never condemns a man. To the book of Genesis. Yes, to the book of Genesis. Mr. Speaker, chapter 3, verse 9 onwards, where God himself, where Almighty God himself, all-knowing God, before he condemned Adam, before he punished Adam, he gave Adam the right of hearing. He posed the question to Adam, and indeed, Mr. Speaker, it was only after Adam put up a spirited defense
and God conducted a principle of natural justice. It was only and only after the defense that God punished and condemned Adam. Mr. Speaker, I want to make the point. Mr. O have not been given a hearing. Mr. Speaker, that is the fundamental problem the Ghanaian people.
Honorable member,
let me refer the House once again.
You are left with 2 minutes.
Let me refer the
House. Yes, here you. 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I thought we were micro minority. Let them debate the micro minority. Let them debate that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I refer the House. Mr. Speaker, I refer the House. I refer my friend and brother, the Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. I refer you to 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 12, where it is said, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, where it is said, and I quote, wherefore let him think that he stands. Take heed, lest Mr. Oral himself is now struggling to wiggle his way and navigate through.
Thank you.
I brought him more problems.
Thank you. Honorable Reverend Intim Fabio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To congratulate my colleagues who have been nominated to various positions and to state that we wish them well and will support the Minister Designate for Health. Being the ranking of the Health Committee was brought to the fore in ensuring that National Health Insurance Scheme is maintained and timeous disbursement of payments are done to ensure the smooth running. Designate of Minister of State for Climate Change, we wish him well, even though we see clear duplication of roles and mandates here with a substantive Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, with matters of climate change cutting across about 5 different ministries. They still found it fit in their strategy to still create Minister of State for Climate Change. We wish him well. Climate change is an important matter, and it's expected that he will coordinate a lot of these actions in this part of the world. Mr. Ekopin Otre, I congratulate him, the many chieftaincy disputes in the region, and to see to their timeous resolution, and to turn his attention to Asim Mansuba. I wish him the very best. He's a great communicator, going to be the Minister of State for Government Communication from political propaganda. On my respected colleague, Honorable Kujeto Ablakwa, I have traveled the world with him, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee. His knowledge in foreign affairs has carved a brand for himself that is a man of accountability who seeks to save the public purse. When he was quizzed in that same spirit whether he was ready to sacrifice as a Minister of State to take economic class, he declined. He insisted that he would join. It is not befitting for a Minister for Foreign Affairs to fly economic class. He insisted on flying business class. We thought that in that principle, he would have opted for economy to save money. All right, Mr. Speaker, time will not permit me to quote quotations. My respected colleague, Honorable Jinapo, has quoted enough quotations. But when you strike forward one finger to your friend, the rest of the 4 point back to you. When you chew your tongue, you haven't chewed much meat. And so it is important that much as members are sensitive to their reputations and even demand apologies before start of vetting, they must equally be minded that the many reputations out there, that their actions, inactions, or exposes, even before verification, have costs out there, whether NDC or MPP. But the irony here is that oral, so-called oral exposes, any expose relating to 2009 to 2016, we have never seen any such expose relating to 1992. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, the Honorable But when he was requested to submit only 9 documents relating to his affairs, he was not able to provide them even within 5 days. but he was able to comment relating to others. Mr. Speaker, I wish my brother well, but I want him to know that in the world of the he must exercise absolute circumspection, knowing that he and the president, the 5 minutes is being counted within him well to succeed, but he must have a positive image of this country.
Thank you so much.
And diplomacy. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, yes, leader.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank my colleagues for such a spirited debate on the report. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa never said any time, anywhere, that he earns 15,000 Ghana cedis a month. He never said that. He never said that. Mr. Speaker, earn. And we know that we don't earn 15,000. So you cannot say that he earns 15,000 and you use 15,000 as a benchmark to determine where. I beg of you, let's be factual when we are evaluating the reports. Number two, Mr. Speaker, oral is a program that says that what you can see and what you can say. If you have seen anything, say it. You think you saw land being taken between 2012 to 2016, say it. If you saw land being taken between 2016 to 2020, say it. Mr. Speaker, infilling. Do you know what infilling meant? Infilling was a policy that you will notice that at that time, you will see one small bungalow in a 1-acre piece of land at cantonments. And yet government needed to fit in additional accommodation in that space. That was what infilling meant. That was what infilling meant under the NDC. But when so don't come and create an impression that MDC is running away from accountability. You had 8 years. If you are concerned about protecting the lands of this country, public land, you should have done so. We have come and we are interested in protecting public lands. So we are telling the public to report anybody who has seen that public land has been stolen. Has been stolen. Mr. Speaker, we have not yet tried anybody for stealing public lands. So those who are alleging that oral is not giving an opportunity to people to be heard, and they are lawyers, I'm surprised. Because oral so far has only asked people to report. And when they report, you have to go to the site and verify. You have to go to the site and verify. All I have seen oral doing on television is going to the various sites where they have received reports to verify. When they put together a report, people will be invited and they will have a right to be heard. And they will be able to explain if the land belongs to them or the lands do not belong to them. If the land belongs to them, and indeed it was public property, how
Leader,
it became private property.
Thank you, Leader.
At what price they bought the property. Mr. Speaker, please. So please, so far, I have not seen oral commit anything that amounts to denying people a right to be heard. Mr. Speaker, he is the chairman of a committee set up by the President of the Republic to give the public an opportunity to report any instance of what is perceived to be appropriation of public lands. He is not Mr. Ora. He is the chairman of Ora. Mr. Speaker, what you don't know is he going to... Mr. Speaker, let me tell you, I was a member of the transition team. I was indeed there were those who argued that we should wait till government is formed and then we will pass a legislation and establish it and then it will start work. I was one of those who argued that there was nothing in law preventing the president from asking the public, the president-elect, from asking people to report any instance of stolen property. I argued. I was there. I argued and convinced my colleagues that it was perfectly legal for the president to set up a committee. And the committee was set up. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing that prevents Samuel Okudzeto as foreign minister to continue to chair the committee. There is nothing inconsistent with the law and his functions to continue to chair the committee. So, Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that it's given very useful to put the question.
Before I put the question, I want to be clear. Are we taking that one on?
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, honorable members. Honorable members, please. Honorable members, the report indicated, Sam George, the report indicated that there's unanimity, but the minority leader said, with respect to Okudzeto, they want it to be approved by majority. So that is what I want to be cleared on. So well. So let me do the rest, then later on I come to Okudzeto Abrakwa. At the conclusion of the debate, all those in favor that Honorable Kwabena Minka Akando, all those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Kwabena. All those in favor that Honorable Seydou Isifu is approved as Minister of State, all those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Seydou Isifu has been approved as Minister of State Designate for Climate Change and Sustainability. All those in favor that Mrs. Charity Gardiner is approved as Minister Designate for Ahafo Region, say aye. Mrs. Charity Gardiner has been approved as Minister Designate for Ahafo Region. All those in favor is approved as Minister Designate for Savannah Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable as Minister Designate for Savannah. That Mr. Wilbert Petty Brintum is approved as Minister Designate for Western North Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes designate for Western North Region. All those in favor that Mr. Joseph Nelson is approved as Minister Designate for Western Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members designate for Western Region. As many as are in favor that Mr. Joseph Ade Akwaboah is approved as Minister Designate for Bono Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Joseph Ade Akwaboah is approved as Minister Designate. That he is approved as Minister Designate for Bono Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Francis Owusu entry has been approved as Minister Designate for Bono East Region. As many as are in favor that Honorable Ferris Kwachi Ofosu is approved as Minister of State Designate for Government. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Ferris Kwachi Ofosu has been approved as Minister Designate, as Minister of State Designate for Government Communications. Is approved as Minister Designate for Central Region. Say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Eduamua Ekwaupenyin Ocholi has been approved as Minister Designate for Central Region. And finally, all those in favor that Mr. Pozin Charles Ruanga is approved as Minister Designate. Members, the ayes have it. Mr. Pozin Charles Ruanga has been approved as Minister Designate for Upper West Region. Now, all those in favor that Honorable Samuel Oku
Mr. Speaker, started the thing again. You've started it again. Mr. Speaker, I indicated we are proceeding in terms of the earlier position taken on Honorable Sam George. I just needed to bring clarity to it for Hansa. That this decision, caucus decision, the minority is not part of this decision. The entire 88 members of the minority hereby reject the nominee for the Foreign Affairs portfolio, and same should reflect in her rejection. The majority, if they would not count, if they do a high count of their majority, they should know. They should read the Constitution. You have come in as a backbencher, all you are learning is how to shout. You are not even making it to deputy ministerial. So, Mr. Speaker, leaders, to get all of us to this far where we are, should learn from. So in putting the question, be clear in the language to be used. I thank you.
Honorable members, as many as are in favor that Honorable Samuel Okujeto Abrakwa is approved by majority, members of this house say aye. All those against say no. All those against say no. Honorable members, honorable have it. By majority of the House is hereby carried.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. If we look at Article 104 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, it reads, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the vote of the majority of the members present and voting. Right Honorable Speaker, if I look at the minority side,
but Honorable,
they
you
don't have the number 88.
You don't pass this.
But they always say 88 absentee.
Honorable member, I thought you were just
for having approved the nominees of His Excellency the President. I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I believe you are in my house now. Yes. Tomorrow, when are we coming?
Mr. Speaker, we demand, since the member has raised a constitutional issue, we demand a head count. We demand a head count. We demand a head count to confirm whether they had the minimum constitutional threshold. The member, the chairman of the committee, requires that majority of members present. So even if it is a majority, they need a wanted members go through the process of a head count.
Respectfully, Honorable member, respectfully, we are coming at 12 noon tomorrow. 12 noon tomorrow. The House is adjourned.